Good morning. I've got all these different projects I'm working on, trying to figure out really where to put my time and energy, which I think is an issue for more people than others realize. Because it was always really easy when I just had a job or a direction or an idea. You just go work for somebody, just go get an hourly paycheck, and that's it. As I'm trying to kind of take more control of the direction of my life, I'm finding that it's a little more challenging than I may have thought because there's so many options. I think for a lot of my life, I felt like there were fewer options, or that I was really limited, or that I couldn't imagine the places that I could go. And now I'm realizing, or excuse me, I felt like there were very clear limitations on that. Good morning. But now it's feeling quite the opposite. It's feeling like there are almost limitless possibilities, and that's almost a harder thing to deal with or to try to figure out. Because, for example, with the nonprofit, we have all these different options, all these different directions we can go. Happy Wednesday. I love it when people are cheerful in the morning. I always try to be, and I do my best, especially when, I see somebody who looks like they're dragging. I'm working on it. But with the nonprofit, we have narrative projects that people want us to do, like short documentaries, as well as social media stuff. I also still want to do direct service stuff, because I was at a meeting yesterday where people are talking about just a complete failure of the coordination of our juvenile system. And kids are just falling through the cracks who would do well just with a little bit of support, or do well when they have a little bit of support, but then don't get it in different circumstances. And it's frustrating. But like I said, there are a lot of exciting things going on. We're going to Boston later this month. I'm stoked about that. I never imagined I'd be speaking at the Boston Public Library. And I didn't realize what a huge institution and endowment they have. I mean, they bring people in every day. They've got events, they've got trainings, they've got all kinds of things. And people that I've talked to from Boston say it's one of the most beautiful spaces they've ever been in, which I consider really encouraging. But yeah, so I'm also sitting here looking at kind of personal stuff, trying to figure out, where do I want to apply my time and energy? Because little things like, relationships. And I went out to trivia last night, because that's one of those important things to me, is it's like going out and doing something fun with people. And I found some good people, but I also found just how much kind of like drama and chaos is around me. And I don't know if that's the kind of energy I want to be around. So I'm working on it. Thank you. But yeah, support is a soul of community. That's really the question. Is like, how do we best show up for other people, and how do we show up for ourselves, or how do we get the support we need? Because I think about, one of my principal issues growing up was that I never felt like I was good enough. I never felt like I was enough. Like that was the core of it. And I don't know where that came from, but I always felt like I was both dependent on other people and not deserving of other people's support. So I didn't know how to reach out and ask for help. And instead I would usually just kind of act up and want attention, or act in a certain way, or make a bid for attention, rather than just saying, hey, I'm feeling low or scared, or, whatever I was feeling. And so when I think about that, it's where's the fine line between taking care of somebody and empowering them to take care of themselves? And that's something I deal with in therapy, as well as, with a lot of the people that I work with, or, with the kid that they had furloughed a couple weeks ago, where I talked about, I said, look, man, one of the main things you have to do is be able to ask for help. And the other thing is recognize that help isn't always going to be there. And it's just such an interesting issue when dealing with people getting out of prison, but also people in just kind of all walks of life. Happy Wednesday from England, from Boston, from all over the country. It's such a neat thing, or excuse me, all over the world. It's such a neat thing to be able to connect with people in this way. I started doing Twitch streams because somebody told me to just play video games and talk to people, which was kind of cool. They've actually developed what feel like a couple friendships and a couple connections. Still just blows my mind. But I have, like I said, I got a bunch of work I have to do this morning, but none of it is in meetings, thankfully, because I had 8 meetings yesterday. And so today will be about, the first thing I have to do, my first appointment, is I have to go walk Luke, because I think Courtney's, working somewhere. So I'm going to go try to take care of him and spend some time with him. But yeah, I'm trying to come up with clear, actionable goals, or SMART goals, both for the nonprofit and kind of for my own endeavors, because we're looking at a couple different projects. I still want to do a writing project at some point. Besides the narrative work for the nonprofit, people have been reaching out to me about doing production work or media work. It's I'll find more time, right? Favorite food on the outside? Maybe Korean barbecue. I got to go to Korean barbecue a couple times, and that was absolutely amazing. But I just I went and got a chicken from Kroger the other day. I've got a guy at the gym who's just amazing into his fitness, and so he was telling me, look, man, I eat a half pound of chicken every day in my cut cycle. That's what I do. So I just went and I bought a chicken. I stuck it in the crock pot for 4 hours, and now I got chicken for the week, or I guess for a couple days, because it's only a 6-pound chicken. But try to figure out how to make that last and be healthier. Because all I was doing was stir fry, and then here lately I've just been doing stuff in the air fryer. Which, don't get me wrong, air fryer corn dogs are amazing, but probably not the healthiest decision. So Can I do an interview with someone incarcerated at a young age of 10 or 11 that was raised in prison till adulthood? Oh, God. So Brian Stevenson has talked a lot about this, about, representing kids as young as 10 and 11 who are being tried as adults. Um, the youngest I know was a woman in Texas that I know just through kind of personally through friends, who went in when she was 13, which I still think is just insane and horrendous. And Marcy Marie and Jennifer Toon actually did an interview with her recently. In Virginia, the youngest person I met was 16. I don't know what our history is or what our kind of policy is around that now. I would like to believe that we're not sticking 10 and 11-year-olds in prison, but yeah, I mean, that's a horrifying thing. That's a great idea. I'll do a little bit of research and reach out. Let me actually make a note of that so I don't forget. But it's interesting because even back like 20 years ago or 25 years ago or even longer, when there was really kind of a predatory culture in prison, there was still this hard line and this judgment against people who would like prey on kids. Because of people coming in, it was understood like that's a juvenile, like that's a child. Like if you prey on that person, like that shows what kind of person you are. So in some ways, they got more of a pass or more of like kind of the opportunity to grow into people. But I've also heard other places that are just horrible, and that isn't the case. So I really don't know. Let's see. Thank you. Yeah, I think the evolution is the hard part because, I talked to two really big names in the kind of criminal justice nonprofit space yesterday. People have been doing it. One who, got major legislation passed over several years, like federal legislation that released, I think, like 650,000 people and reunited with them and their families. The other one who's done, built another number of organizations, raised, I think, $150 million for nonprofit organizations. And I asked them both, like, hey, how do you do it? Because sometimes it's exhausting or sometimes you don't know where to go. And they both told me pretty much the same thing. One was that you need to find one thing that you do really well and do that. Because you never want to be the guy who's doing, 10 different things and not doing them well. And so I really try to think about what could I do well? Like, what is the best service we could kind of provide? And the other thing they said was, you got to take care of yourself. Like, you've got to make this into, what you really want to do and what you really want to be. And not everybody wants to do this. So I think I'll do advocacy for the rest of my life, but I do kind of have a dream of getting the nonprofit, like figuring out the model that works best, getting it up and running, like getting it a source of funding and stream to where it can be operational, and then hiring somebody so I can step down and I can essentially go work on something else. And I can still be on the board and I can still fundraise and I can still do advocacy. But there comes a time where, yeah, I kind of want to break. Like somebody said that I've come a long way from the guy who was just getting out of prison. I don't know what that looks like. And there have been a lot of days that I've really doubted myself and I've wondered, would I have been better off just starting a business, just starting a lawn care business and hiring people who've been formerly incarcerated? Or would I have been better off like going to work for a property management company and like just trying to convince them day after day to be willing to rent to somebody getting out of prison? Because, I'm trying to help awareness and cultural shift, but like how much of a difference would it make for somebody to have a place to sleep or have a job to be able to, pay their bills or provide for their families? And that's something that I can't provide today. And I think that at some point I will. I mean, I was talking to somebody locally who's a real estate developer and has done this kind of social justice work. He's gone into areas that are being gentrified and basically bought up a bunch of the properties and insisted that people who are from those areas or whose families are from those areas are able to stay. And he doesn't make as much money as he could. And in some cases, I don't know that he's making any money at all, but he's allowing people to stay in neighborhoods. He's allowing for kind of consistency and allowing for, I guess, like a variety of people to live in the same space rather than it to become purely gentrified and people to be forced out. And I'm interested in that model for, returning citizens. Like, can we go buy up a bunch of property and can we rent to people who are getting out of prison? People who are trying to do the right thing, but just don't have the opportunity or don't have the resources. There's a guy in Virginia Beach who does that and has done a really good job and built quite a, real estate portfolio. I just don't have a bunch of money to start this, but, it's one of those things where somebody said yesterday, and it makes a lot of sense, that like your ability to raise money and get things done has to do with your proximity to where the money is. And I think I need to spend more time both in communities that are underserved so that I can be there and be present and feel like I can help contribute to or empower the people who are making, good solutions. But I also have to spend more time around the people who have the resources to make a difference. And that's not always easy or comfortable, but I'm grateful to have found that there are more and more people who are, kind of socially conscious and decent, who have a lot of money. Because I grew up with my dad who was a communist, and I always thought, everybody was rich, was evil and greedy and nasty, and actually seeing people do some really amazing things. But I'm also seeing some people give money to nonprofits or to charities to kind of assuage their conscience, to feel better about themselves. So, I would definitely like to go to Ohio. So I graduated from Ohio University, but I've never actually been on campus in Athens. And there's a big issue where a lot of these universities have college programs for incarcerated people, but won't let the people who were previously incarcerated come participate in graduation ceremonies. And I think Athens went through that, but I think they've now gotten to the point where they'll actually allow someone who's been incarcerated to come participate. And technically, I'm an alumni, so maybe I'll go up and give me free hors d'oeuvres or something. For NA and AA, so I think 12-step programs can be great. I think that they have saved a lot of lives. I think they've changed a lot of lives. Often, the one criticism, the main criticism I would say that I've found with a lot of those groups is the idea of like a fundamental brokenness. Like once an addict or once an alcoholic, always an addict or alcoholic. The idea that that's what somebody is for their entire lives. Whereas my kind of personal journey has been, what happened, or what did I experience, or what was I lacking that I was in this place where I wanted to fill my life, fill my body, fill my mind with something to distract me, or why was I self-medicating, basically? Like, what was the cause of that? And I think to some degree that can get answered in step work. And I think good sponsors or good people who work the program have a really positive impact on that. But I think a lot of people get into it. I remember one individual hearing him basically say, I've been doing this for 20 years, and if I did something today, that would be it. It would all be lost. And there's just something lost about that. There's something missing, because I feel like if there's been 20 years of growth and there's been 20 years of development, that nothing can take that away. Like, sure, we can start making daily decisions or make one disastrous decision, but when we just see it as this kind of catastrophic, like life-defining thing, I think that fundamental brokenness is an issue, and I think that's the kind of issue of shame and self-doubt and a lack of belief and a lack of healing that prevents a lot of people from doing the work that will actually get them to a happier place. And I know some people, that I really care about who just, don't want to do the uncomfortable work in therapy, or don't want to dive into the things that I really think would allow them to live their best lives. And that's hard for me. That's hard to watch because I care about people. But thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And I do think there are a lot of systemic issues that are really hard to talk about. I did a video yesterday about the guy who's been in jail for 10 years awaiting trial just because of this comedy of errors that have kept him like waiting and not having an attorney, or not having, just horrendous things. Or the guy who literally died after being eaten by bed bugs, and who, suffered tremendously in the Georgia jail. Both of those cases in Georgia, which does not speak highly of the criminal legal system down there, but it's definitely something to learn and adjust to. But thank you. Yeah, YouTube Shorts. Doing shorts on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok it's good to be able to get little information out there. And one of the things I thought was so important was being able to connect with a younger audience, because in 10 years and 20 years and 30 years, the people who are going to be shaping policy and shaping the way we apply resources and really the cultural value of things are young now. And so, I do advocacy work. I go to the General Assembly. I go, to speak to senators and delegates and talk to them about issues that I think are important. But what I find a lot of times is people kind of stuck in their ways. And I feel like I can be a really persuasive person, and I can tell my story, and I can bring other people that can tell their stories. But a lot of people are really set in their ways. Whereas I think if we can get to people before they're really stuck in that place, where they're still open-minded and have a curiosity about life and what they want to do and where they want to go, it creates this opportunity for genuine change. Because I don't think I'm right about everything. I think there are lots of things that I need to learn about. I think there are lots of things I'm going to change my mind about. And the way I go about doing that is by engaging with as many people and as varied people as I possibly can. Because I found that diversity brings a perspective that I would never have. So I'm going to change my mind about a lot of things in my life. And hopefully we can expose, younger people who may only watch 30 or 40 or 50-second videos to different ideas or different important factors. I did an interview with Rachel Goldstein the other day, who I just admire, who, as basically a college kid or a high school kid, I can't remember which one, ran into a man in a park while she was doing a volunteer job, who talked about having been in prison for 20 years and getting out and the struggles that he had. And she was like, that's it. This is the work I want to do. And it was just a random conversation. And I think to some degree, that's the same thing as YouTube Shorts or TikTok or Facebook Reels. It's just a random idea or introduction. And then maybe something like this is a longer conversation that can shape somebody. Thank you. Just Ellie, good morning. Oh, okay. Now at this point, checking in was one thing, but now at this point, I'm probably putting off work that I actually need to do. And that's because I probably have, I've got an hour and a half before I got to go get Luke, and I have an hour and a half to work, so I probably have to go. But I just want to say thank you all for being here, and I hope everyone is having a wonderful Wednesday. And I try to start every day with a gratitude list, the things that I'm grateful for, and the things that I recognize. And so, even though yesterday or last night trivia may not have been perfect, I was surrounded by good people. I had people show up to come play trivia with me. I felt a sense of connection and community, which is one of the things I always want, and like that I've always wanted. And I have so many good things in my life. I have good health. I'm able to get food. I was able to get up this morning and go for a walk and do some exercise. I've got work to do. I have something that's going to pay the bills. I have things to spend my life in ways that feel engaging and meaningful. And I think that's another thing that I always miss. Like, I miss community. I miss feeling engaged. And I'm in a challenged place. Like, I'm dealing with a lot of challenges I don't know how to do. And I've got a lot of new things on the plate, and I'm excited about them. So I hope you have something to be grateful for today. And I hope you find it. And I hope you pay attention to it, because where we stick our attention is where we grow. And it's really easy to stick our attention on the things that we're frustrated with or angry about or hurt by. It's a lot harder to stick it on the gratitude, but when we do, at least I've found that I grow into that space. So thank you, and hope you have a wonderful day.